Welcome to our third and last alumni post-talk with a focus on legal studies and in particular tax law. I'm Johanna Stadelbauer of the postdoc office, and on behalf of the organizing team and our speakers here, I welcome you to this talk. We are really excited. Now I give over to my co-organizer, Martina Meyer-Kraus of Alumni Uni Graz, and she will welcome you.
Yeah. Hi, and a warm welcome also from my side. As I'm Martina, and I'm coordinating our international alumni activities in our alumni office. And Johanna, as today it's our third event, and I just would like to mention or give you our reasons. We have 3 reasons why we started this series, and first of all, important for us is we would like to draw the attention to the research activities of successful graduates of the University of Graz. And furthermore, we would like to give international career perspectives for young researchers and students. And last but not least, we also would like to promote our international alumni network with its 25 alumni groups in 28 countries. And these groups, we call them chapters, are organized by volunteers, former students of our university who act as local contact point in the region and contribute their experience and know-how as chapters leaders. So if you're planning to go to Belgium, we have a chapter in Brussels. There lives Verena, and who is our contact there, and we regularly organize events. Or Luisa, who normally lives in Antwerp, but often is back home in Italy and already organizes alumni activities there. And yeah, we thank you very much for supporting us, Luisa. And yeah, now I would like to hand over to Johanna to introduce our guests, and thanks to all who are involved today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And of course, a warm welcome also to our 2 experts today, postdocs Anna-Maria Anderwald and Luisa Scarcella. Luisa Scarcella works in, as Tina already said, in Antwerp, but is that correct, Luisa, that you are currently in Paris?
Yes, it's correct. I'm here for a research stay of 4 weeks, but normally I'm based in Antwerp at the DigiTax Centre of the University of Antwerp.
Super, thank you for making this possible. And Anna-Maria Anderwald is live from Graz, is that correct? As
Actually,
you can see.
I'm in Vienna at the moment, but
at least very international, multi-local researchers. Thank you for being here and sharing your expertise and experience with us. I will now take more time to introduce both of you so that the participants or the listeners and viewers can get an idea about what you do. So Luisa Scarcella works as a postdoctoral researcher, as she already said, at the DigiTax Centre at the University of Antwerp in Belgium. She is also coordinator of the Finance, Law and Economics Working Group of the Young Scholars Initiative at the Institute for New Economic Thinking. Before joining the DigiTax Centre, she has worked as a research and teaching assistant for the Tax and Fiscal Law Department of the University of Graz. So she is our alumni, where she has obtained a PhD in tax law in October 2020. Previously, she has worked as a researcher for the International Fiscal Association, was research associate at the Centre for Alternative Finance of the University of Cambridge and was a visiting scholar at the Centre for Information Technology and Intellectual Property Law of the KU Leuven University. In 2018, she was awarded a prestigious scholarship from the Austrian Ministry of Research, and in 2020, she was awarded the Austrian Academy of Sciences postdoc track fellowship. These are not all of her awards, this is just a selection. Luisa's research topics concern the digital economy and the use of new technologies in the area of tax law. Now, Luisa is our interviewee and Anna-Maria Anderwald is our interviewer. She is a postdoc at the Department of Tax and Fiscal Law at the University of Graz and currently holds a Hertha Fierenberg Scholarship by the FWF Austrian Science Fund. She graduated in 2017 with a Doctor Juris from the University of Graz and in 2019 also with a Master of Law from Columbia Law School in New York, where she focused on international tax law. She is qualified as a lawyer at the Austrian Bar Association and has professional experience as an associate in several law firms. Anna-Maria's main research activities concern BEPS, or tax avoidance. You might tell us later what the acronym stands for. OECD Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, international and European tax law, tax policy, as well as sustainable taxation, encompassing demographic, societal, economic, and ecological objectives. So this is all extremely interesting, and I'm looking very much forward to what you two will be talking about. Did I present all that correct?
Yes, you did.
I'm glad.
Yes, thank you, Joanna.
That's good. After and during the interview, you can type questions in the chat, and after the interview, we will also have some time to answer some questions. Now, let me give the word over to our interview team for the first question.
Okay, hi everyone. So hi also from my side, and thanks to the Alumni Office for making this opportunity. And we are happy to share our experience as a postdoc. So maybe we're just gonna say like, so Luisa and I will work together for, we just talked before, I think it was 6 months around in 2019 in Graz. So we do know each other. So if something is, like if we have something missing, please just let us know. And then I think I'm gonna start with questioning how we came into science. So, and maybe also, Luisa, you could tell us, so how was your way into tax law, and maybe also what is your focus at the moment, and why is tax law your favorite subject?
Thank you very much, Anna. I will turn down the question to you, since it's like a question I think we share in terms of interest and possible also answers. And also, like, I take the chance before starting with my answer to thank the organizers, the Alumni Association, Joanna, for putting this together. It's always a pleasure to be online at my PhD alma mater. So that said, going back to your question, my way of into science wasn't really like straightforward. I was always a very just like a curious person, in many different areas and fields. And during my law degree, I didn't really have like career option. I did an internship at the Bank of the European Bank Investment Bank in Luxembourg. And I really like the experience of working in a European institution. But yeah, I didn't like made a decision yet. So during my master thesis, I had the chance to get into research and really like seeing like what it's like to go and try to answer a research question. And I found it very fascinating. And I also had the chance already at the time to do a bit of comparative research. So I was in Graz actually for a couple of months to work on my master thesis. And then Graz became my research home during the PhD. And I think like the master thesis was really like the time where it made a difference. And in between my master and my PhD, I also interned at the European Central Bank. And in that occasion, I was doing research for different departments. And I had an amazing supervisor who really like took me into like doing research also in topics that I didn't study before, so that were new to me. And that was indeed very, very helpful. And so this is like how I got started, and I really like doing this discovering of new ideas. And so like I stayed around also after the PhD, and then I moved to Antwerp for my postdoc. In terms of like content-wise of research, so my PhD was on the taxation of cryptocurrencies, but I've always been involved in other research areas and works involving the topics of new technologies and the digital economy. And this is something that I keep doing also like at the center where I'm currently work, which is like an interdisciplinary center. So it's not just lawyers, but we also have economists, data scientists. So it's a very collaborative environment. And my newest project is on research and development tax incentives and how they can support responsible and sustainable innovation. But I'll be publishing also in the area of new technologies used by tax administration, in particular with regards to human rights and vulnerable taxpayer and digital divide. And why is tax law my favorite subject? I think there are many different reasons. Probably the most important one for me was that it connects the dots between different areas, not only in the legal field, but also in other fields, economics, international policy. So I can see a lot of like connection with the real world everywhere I look. And that was a very long answer. So now I pass the question to Anna. So I'm sure she will have much more to add.
Just one more question. So your master was in Italy, right? Or was it?
Yes.
Also?
Yes, okay. That I didn't specify. So I'm originally from Italy. So my first law degree was from Italy. And my master thesis was on the exchange of information between the tax administrations. And the chapters I wrote in Austria were on the bank secrecy. So I think from the very beginning, I really tried to have this comparative cut or interdisciplinary and international approach.
Okay. So about my way into science, like especially tax law. So it was also not straightforward. To be honest, I don't know anyone who had a straightforward way. It always sounds at the end like there was a straightforward way, but mostly it wasn't. So yeah, I studied in Graz and did my magistra at the University in Graz. And after finishing that, I thought I want to become a lawyer or a judge or something. So I saw myself more like in the praxis actually. And I started also at the law firm, and I actually really enjoyed it working there. It was a small, like kind of small law firm, but I had a great supervisor, and I was focused already at that time in tax law. And then I somehow thought it might be nice also to do a PhD. But so this is kind of inconvenient. I didn't do my PhD as a pre-doc, so I wasn't at university. So I did it kind of. I think I wouldn't recommend anyone doing it that way because it was really hard. Because I had to work like in the law firm from Monday till Friday, and then I had to do my PhD work on the weekends or maybe in the evening. But so I saw both, and during that time, I think I realized that I really like going into questions deep. So that was like I think that was my reason why I wanted to go back to university, because I thought so in a law firm, it's always time consuming. You always have time pressure, and so you can't. Like no one will pay if you work into one legal question, I don't know how many days. So, but that's what I was interested in. So I really wanted to focus on different stuff and like question myself deeply with the topics. And that was the reason why I thought it would be nice to go back to university. But I decided to stay in private practice till I finished my bar exam, because I thought it's helpful maybe afterwards if I'm qualified as a lawyer. And in Austria, it actually takes really a long time. So you have to work in private practice for 5 years till you're a lawyer. So I stayed there. And after that, I also wanted to get some experience abroad, especially I wanted to know how the tax system and also the working field in a different country would be like. So I decided to go to the US, and I made my master's at Columbia University. And at that time, I realized that I really want to focus into tax law, and not only Austrian tax law, but especially international tax law. And after that time, I got back to my alma mater and started as a postdoc in Graz. This is the time when I met Luisa there. And during my first time as a postdoc, I focused on getting my project funded so that I will be able to actually have a longer contract. So that's what I did at that time. And now, so my main research areas, as already Johanna said, focused somehow like it's about international tax law, but also tax policy. So I'm writing currently a habilitation on the topic from income to consumption, which is funded by the FWF. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. So maybe we can, so what I thought would be interesting is, so what Luisa really has is like, she has a really international CV. So as she already said, she was born in Italy, and then she made different jobs all over Europe. And she also lived a couple of years in Graz, and now she's in Antwerp. But not only is she like moving every 3, 4 years, she also loves to visit around. So I know that she has been to quite a lot of places. So from that perspective, I was wondering, how important do you think it is to be mobile as a researcher, or especially as a postdoc?
Yes, I think it's a great question. I think it depends also like very much on your personal situation, and also what you like and what makes you passionate about. And then there is like a component also of what is like the current job market is about. So I'm lucky because I always like love to know like more different jurisdictions and legal systems. I was very attracted to that. I mentioned that already at the time of my master, where I was yet not considering to have like an international academic career. That was really not in the plan. I was already interested in having like this comparative component in my master thesis. So for me, it almost became like quite natural to observe like how does it work in other jurisdictions, how will it be like the same research question addressed in another legal system. And so also like after my PhD, I moved to Belgium because they had like this center which focuses on the research areas that I'm into it. And so yeah, for me it was quite natural, not big pressure. But it was indeed important because you have to have some sort of like skills as well. Like you have to be very able to adapt, be flexible, be able also like to start learning new languages. So for example, I learned German during my high school, but during university I didn't see a single word of German. So when I came back to Graz, I had to restart learning. Belgium, I still very far from knowing Dutch, but I'm probably working on it starting September. And yeah, and for now, like I know a bit of French. But yeah, that's just one part. So, and I think like then there is another component. I was saying like it's important to be mobile, also considering like the job market. So if you're someone that is interested in a very specific legal area which is relevant in a particular jurisdiction, then for you maybe it might not make a lot of sense to move around. But indeed, if you're like more international, European studies oriented, then it might make sense. And of course, then there might be position opening in other cities or in other countries that you didn't consider. You might be also like mobile in relation to the professors or like the institute you're going into. So if you're really like an expert or want to build an expertise in a certain topic, and you know there is a center in another country that works precisely on that, you might want to consider that because you want to build your own expertise. So I think it's also important the stages in your life where you're mobile. So I think like for masters, for PhD, you really want to explore what it's like, and then like you're probably going to be moving more often. Postdoc, it's also like a nice phase of life, because you're like try to see what's next after your PhD project, and so you probably have already an idea of what you like what are you like the areas of interest that talk to you the most. And so you might want to like build on this expertise by moving some centers that are really aligned with your research and interests and ideas. So until like a postdoc, I think it makes more sense. And then probably, tenure track positions, there are so many openings. It might be like in different countries, the one you considered. And so you might move again. But indeed, I think like then at some point, even the people that love to be mobile will probably like need to pick one or two places, so that I can like ground something and build something on their own, especially like in terms of projects. And but indeed, there are also other possibilities when you make that decision, because like there are many visiting options, outgoing and ingoing in my universities. We can see like there's a lot of interest in internationalizations by mostly all universities, and so like this is something that you can do also like in a shorter time if your interest, like if you decide then to establish yourself in a certain countries, but you're still looking at what is happening in a legal system of another country, you can from time to time go back. And I think there is a lot of interest also in building and creating international cooperation projects. So you have like a continuous type of exchange with other scholars from a different countries working on similar topics.
Yeah, I think that's true. So students who are thinking about going into academia should know that mobility is getting super important, and this should be one part of your life. And you should be open that it would be fine for you to also work at least for a couple of years from somewhere else, and to be able to adapt to different stuff. It's also really important to kind of build your own network. So also for this, I think it's important to be mobile. So maybe, yeah, sorry.
No, I just wanted to add that maybe you're a very mobile person like me that really likes the experience abroad for many years. Maybe you're someone that prefers to stay in a certain country, have more stable like more presence in a certain city where he builds like all his network. But I would definitely suggest anybody to at least like take a short period abroad, because it's indeed like a life experience, besides being a way to enrich yourself in terms of research, knowledge, and expertise.
Yeah. So, because we just were talking about networks, how important do you think are networks or mentors? So, do you have the feeling that's something you are focusing at, or?
So networks is indeed important. I think it's important to find your kind of like people to talk to in your research. Research can be lonely, especially like in some parts of your research career. I'm talking about PhD. I think like any PhD that is like listening or viewing this probably feels what I'm talking about. So it's important to have like your sort of like people that are maybe also in different subjects. Don't have to be like your own subject. Indeed, it's like preferable if it's your subject, because then if you have a question, you feel like this peer-to-peer like environment where you can really like exchange to one another. An important role indeed like plays the supervisors that you have. I was lucky because I always had a very nice relationship with all supervisors, both in the private sector, in the European institutions, or in university. And then what comes about mentors, I think it's important to have mentors that might be also like not in your own institution. So it might be like someone that you really like their work, and you really want to know more about it, and you get in touch. So I think like one of my current mentors, she's an amazing, brilliant young professor, and she's my co-author, and she's been very supportive all the way. And I really like contacted her because I was interested in her research. So we just like exchanged about a bit about views, and then we organized a call, and from that moment on, it like started to be this way. But I think yeah, you shouldn't really be scared to reach out when you see like someone that share your research interests, that is a bit more advanced. What was my experience, besides Sophia, this professor I was mentioning, was that every time I reach out to someone senior to get some feedback on papers or a topic that I would like to investigate more, they were all very kind and very available. So yeah, I would encourage anybody to do that if they feel like, okay, I have this person in my mind. This person seems like a big deal. Just take the courage, write an email, and see what happens. Worst case, you just won't receive an answer. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's so true.
Do you have any mentors or any supervisors that really make a change, like a big change in your life on our?
So I feel like everyone who is in academia has at least someone to look up to, because otherwise, so in academia there is no clear career path. So I feel like you need someone you're looking up to and have the feeling like, oh yeah, that's something I can relate to and where I want to go. So yeah, I do have the feeling, and I know that it is super. So I think it's super important also to have someone like that. Yeah. So maybe because so Alumni Graz is introducing, like, is organization though, like this talk, maybe we will talk a bit about Graz. So maybe we can talk about how your experience with the university in Graz was, and maybe what are you taking from your time in Graz?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I came to Graz and I came to my PhD in through my master thesis. So what I did, and I think this connects also like to write that email if you're thinking about it, because like my topic was very interesting, not only from a European perspective but also looking at two precise jurisdictions, which was Luxembourg and Austria. And the professor of tax law at the University of Graz was an expert in exchange of information. I wrote her an email and asked like, can I come for a research day and do some work and write a chapter over there? Because my university, the University of Udine, was offering this possibility to master students. And so she was very welcoming. And I came to Graz for a couple of months. I wrote that chapter. So the chapter is in my master thesis. And then I got very interested into the legal system and to know more about this tax law. It was a very different way of approaching tax law, also like from how we approach it in Italy. So it's a very different way to study the subject itself. There are different tradition, different history. So it made it very, very interesting to look into that particular jurisdiction. And so then, yeah, I applied for when a position opened as a research and teaching assistant, and then I started my PhD there. And I think there are many takeaways from that experience. So indeed, it was a very nice experience in terms of like people that I met, friends that I'm still in touch, the city. I don't know like if the people that are going to watch are already from Graz or no, but it's a very green city. It's very pleasant to live in. I still very much miss some of the parts of the city. But apart from that, I think it was a very enriching experience because as I mentioned, I really got to know like another legal system, another jurisdiction. I also got to learn this like tax law subject in German. So also like from a linguistic perspective, it was definitely very enriching, because I was exposed to conferences, exams, classes in German. And so I did not only like learn a subject, I also learned it in that language. And then, yeah, I think like it was really like a learning experience from different perspective. So I still like now, I'm in a third country, so it's another legal system again, another way of approaching the subject. But because like I have this interaction within me of seeing like these two others before, so the Italian and the Austrian, I think I really like then can spot the differences, the similarities among other different legal systems. So it really like opens your mind and make me more like flexible and like able to see connections sometimes in the legal subjects. So that is indeed one of the main takeaway. And indeed I have good colleagues, like one of them is the interviewer, so of course I cannot say otherwise.
Thank you. But yeah, I totally agree. I even can remember, so Luisa was even teaching in German. So I mean, like, wow, that's amazing. So if someone would tell me I have to teach in Italy, even tax law, it would feel like really, really hard. So you adapted really, really well. And so
yeah,
far.
I mean, on that, like, I think I was really like lucky, because at the beginning I was very tituban, but then I was lucky to have like Tina as a professor, so Tina Krabel, because she was really like encouraged me to do that. Like, she really believed I could do that. Even at the time when I was like, oh, I'm not so sure, like it's going to be super hard, and in the end it worked out. And I also think it gives you like that feeling that once you like are able to teach Austrian tax in German, like all the other challenges seems like, yeah, I'll make it somehow. So in that way, like she also like gave me like a life lesson that you should like believe in yourself. You really can do it at some point.
Yeah.
But you also have an experience abroad, no? Anna, you did some studies in the US. So what were
but I didn't have to
takeaways from that?
Well, so the difference is, I feel like, so I was a student there and I didn't have to teach. So, and it's English. So I feel like I felt a little bit more comfortable with English than I would have if I would have to teach in Spanish or something. But yeah, so I totally recommend to everyone, if someone is interested in going abroad to study or to do an LLM degree. So I totally, I loved the experience. It was great, not only like for my development, like personal one, but also for my research, I think, because as also Luisa, as you said, it makes so much difference to learn a tax system from a different country perspective, because everyone has its own kind of way of thinking somehow. And also the US one, so the teaching in the US was really different than I expect, like than I was used from Graz. And I have the feeling that also when I'm teaching now, I do use American style a little bit. So I really love, so in the US, you learn a lot about critical thinking. So in Austria, we learned a lot about how the system is working and how it is structured. But from a US perspective, you really discuss a lot. Do you think the regulations are great? What is your opinion and stuff like that? This was really hard at the beginning, but I gained a lot of that. So I feel like that's something I can take from my experience from the US. And the other one is also somehow I connected thinking. I think also you mentioned at the beginning saying that tax law is interesting because it's so related to different kind of fields. And I feel like in the US, I even realized that more, especially like economic thinking, but also like psychology and environmental stuff. So everything is kind of related to each other. And that's what I feel like I learned from my experience in the US. So maybe I'm just seeing, so we have only a couple more minutes. So maybe we can talk about a getaway. So if there is someone in the, like listening to us, what would you recommend to someone who wants to go into academia, maybe now especially in tax law, what they should focus at? And also, do you think that there is something like a perfect plan how to become a professor?
I'll start with the last part of the question because I don't think there is. And if there is and someone knows about it, they should let me know. But yeah, I would be very grateful. But no, I think like there are different ways or different things to focus on. I don't think like there is also like an advice that sticks to anybody, because as we mentioned, like there are different ways of approaching an academic career. It can be more nationally focused, more internationally focused. Internationally, it also depends like on the different countries. We are like assisting in some sort of like not coordination, but you can see like some sort of patterns that are being followed in the way they are doing hirings at PhD level, at postdoc level, at tenure track level, but there are still many differences. So if you're focusing like on a country, or like if you think like that for some certain reason, it might be professional, it might be also private personal life reason, you would like, or you're probably thinking about moving to a certain countries, you should check like how the academic career works there, because there's no like a path that works for everybody in every country. So you really have to look into that. And that makes an impact also like on the way you publish, what you publish, like journals, book chapters, a book. Transforming your dissertation in a book can be very relevant in some countries, in other a bit less. And like the way of teaching, like how much teaching. In some countries during the PhD you don't do any teaching at all, and then suddenly like in some countries you're requested, oh, where's your teaching statement? So you should like really plan a bit ahead, and you can always adjust. It's not like the end of the world. But yeah, indeed, if you have like some sort of like jurisdiction in mind already, it makes the job a bit easier, because then you can focus from the very beginning. But that said, even if you're like going for a more national career path, I would still like recommend an experience abroad. There are many ways you can do it, like maybe your PhD in your home country and then move for the postdoc. You can do the contrary as well. I know now like it's Marie Curie season, so yeah, the deadline is in September, and also like DigiTax is looking for excellent candidates that we can support. So if you're like interested in tax law, it might be that you're not a lawyer, it might be like you're a data scientist or an economist. If you're interested in our center, we are more than welcome, and we're more than happy to welcome you and support you in that process. So there are many options. I know you're also working on funding, so maybe you can add a bit on that. But yeah, indeed, apart from the position that you see open in other university, you might also want to consider that particular funding option that a country might have.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I think that's Luisa mentioned something really important. So funding is coming more and more popular, but also important from a career perspective. So this means so there are positions there which are kind of like a global budget, so the university are paying for that. But nowadays more and more it's common to kind of get a funding for your own research project, so you also can show that the like research you're focusing at is important to the public or to the government or whoever. So yeah, I can recommend funding as well. And as Luisa said, if someone wants to go abroad, so Marie Curie would be a great option. I think it's up to 2 years or 3 years with a research day abroad. So if someone lives in Austria and wants to go, for example, to Luisa's department, that would be a great option.
Yeah, I think like I can see, because I experienced both like in Graz and in Antwerp, the university where there is like a very experienced and also supported department when you like submit a project. So you get like a bit of trainings or like a bit of support in the technical part, in the budget part, those parts that you didn't have to deal with ever, and now suddenly you have to like find how to fit in the parts. And so you can definitely like reach out. Maybe your supervisor already advised you to do that. Maybe he didn't or she didn't know, so you can contact them directly. But I think, yeah, especially like in this two university where I like saw firsthand that they have like amazing support. I think you should really, if you're thinking about a postdoc, look into that as well.
Yeah. So maybe we end with the question, what are your plans for the future?
So hard to say. I hope I can stay in academia. I love the research work that I'm doing, and I hope I can still look into that for a bit. But yeah, who knows in life? I think research, what we also need to remind ourselves, can be also like a transition in other fields, other type of work, other type of jobs. So we'll see what the future brings. I'm very excited to see it as well. And I don't know about your future plans, Anna.
So my plans are that I hopefully one day will finish with my habilitation. So hopefully in the next couple of years. And yeah, I also love to stay in academia. So hopefully I will be one day a professor in tax. We will see if this if this is going to happen or not. In the next year, I'm going to start my second funding round. So again, proposal writing, and yeah, that's
fingers crossed.
Next. Thank you. Oh, I saw Johanna is back here, so I feel like we have finished our time. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
You brought it perfectly to a conclusion within the time frame. So thank you, Luisa Scarcella and Anna-Maria Anderwald, for this extremely professional interview, which touched really on a lot of areas relevant to people who plan an international career and plan to go inside academia, and had very concrete tips, I think. So thanks to both of you. Now we would have the possibility for an audience question. If there is one of our participants who wants to either type it into the chat or ask it out loud. I'll give you a few moments to gather your thoughts. Is there someone who wants to ask a question to our two experts? Okay, so I will start with the first question. And if something comes to you, dear audience, please type it into the chat. So when you ended right now, you touched on third-party funding. Maybe both of you have received very prestigious awards, and Anna-Maria, you were able to finance your habilitation with an FWF grant, which is really, really great. And it's also, I think, a very competitive grant. So you've talked about the relevance of third-party funding for your career. Anna-Maria, you said that this shows that you can write proposals that show your research as relevant to society and as relevant to funding bodies outside of the university. What would be your tips maybe to write a successful proposal? Do you have anything that you say that worked very well, for example, co-readers, or any strategies for writing the text, or how to find the time to write it? So is there anything that comes to your mind?
So yeah, to be honest, I feel like there's a lot. So the first thing I want to say is it's also a good thing for yourself if your project is getting funded, because for me, it kind of showed me that, like, for example, I'm writing on a habilitation maybe 3 to 4 years or even more. And so it's a lot of time of my life. So when you realize that it's funded, you kind of realize there is at least someone out there who thinks what you're doing is important. And also if you have a time, and also Luisa said that sometimes it's really you're lonely, like this work, doing research means like sitting a lot in front of your computer and reading books, and sometimes you ask yourself, okay, why am I doing this? But I feel like because I got the funding, I sometimes just think like, well, yeah, there is someone who is actually paying for what I'm doing, so there must be some good thing about it, and about concrete, like what can help. So I think also Luisa mentioned that a lot of universities offer like special workshops, and also the funding offices do offer workshops, which really helps. I think like you need enough time. So it depends if you have already an idea you want to talk, like you want to write about, or if you don't have an idea. So at the beginning, I wasn't sure what my research will focus at. So it took me from scratch, so from idea finding till I got a proposal, like I think 5 months or something. And I feel like if you have already an idea, I would suggest a time frame 2 to 3 months for writing the proposal, because there's a lot of review, and there's a lot of it's not just writing the proposal. You need time frame sheets and from the university and CVs and whatever. So it's a lot. So I would say have enough time. And I also would recommend speaking with people who already got a grant. They can help. And I feel also like everyone is normally really open. And I also spoke with people who got the grant and asked them, like, what is your experience? What should I focus at? Yeah. So those are my first. So if someone is planning to get a FWF funding for a postdoc, please feel free and send me an email. I can help if I can help, but I'm trying.
That's very, very generous. Luisa, do you have any additional tips?
I think Anna like cover most of like the tip I would also have given. Yeah, another probably very basic advice is really like try to find a topic, as I think it was a good advice for a PhD, that makes you passionate about, because like you have to sound convincing. And so if you don't believe in the project yourself, this is going to be hard. And yeah, and especially like if you have to see connections, how it's relevant for society, or why it's relevant particularly in this precise moment, you really have to believe in the project yourself.
Super. Yeah, that makes it more fun to work on it, I suppose.
As well, especially, like after like some years that you dedicated to your PhD, like you're going to have some other years on a different project. You want to be happy about it.
Super. Okay, any more questions from the audience, maybe? Give you a few moments.
We cover everything, Anna, actually. We were like so comprehensive.
Yeah, you're really comprehensive. Okay, doesn't sound like it. So I have another question. You talked about the role of networks and mentoring, and Luisa, you said you have a very supportive or a very productive relationship with a female professor. So I was wondering, is the legal studies or the area of law research a field where female professors or female early career researchers are really welcomed, or do you feel that there are still some barriers for women, as there are, when you look at the statistics overall, you lose women from the postdoc to the professor level, you lose 10%. And so I was wondering if this, if you could tell me a little bit about this, and if this also influences the way you connect to other women, or to female mentors or to male mentors. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So that's an interesting question, and interesting because I think it touches upon very different topics, areas, and problems. So I don't really know, like, if I got like more having this relationship with mentoring relationship because she was a woman, but it definitely makes a difference, because she can understand some of the problems, issues, questions that I have, and that maybe some males will not really understand totally. I had like both. I had like an amazing supervisor who was a male. I was then like in Graz, my supervisor was a woman. In where I work now, we have an equal number actually. So I was always surrounded by female professors in tax law, but I know this is not always the case. So I know like we are still like not so many. You can see like easily find like panels where all male professors are invited, even though there are many amazing tax law professors who are women. And so yeah, you don't have to go for the quota. It's just like so easy to find like a woman which is great in that topic. But yeah, apart from that, in terms like I don't think it's like just the legal field. I think also like you have to distinguish also in the legal fields, like there are some subjects where you have more women and some subjects where you have less. And I think indeed like there is a bit of a problem with the career path probably. I think like we see much many women than in the past, in professorship position.
That sounds good.
That sounds good. That sounds really good and very promising, and I hope it's still the same. But I think indeed, like there are like, because it merges like also with some stages of our life, like the time you do the postdoc, the time you do the professorship, that I can see why like maybe some colleagues can be feared of taking that career path in a certain moment of their life. So I think that it really depends how supportive the universities are. And I remember, to be honest, without like also doing names or anything, that with some colleagues that got pregnant during their PhD, I feel like I remember I never got like interested in like seeing the details, but I remember like that like a kindergarten at University of Graz, and I feel like that was amazing. That's like such an help that in some other sector you don't get. And so I don't know anything about Antwerp. I never checked, so I don't know. But I feel like these are like universities that are very like caring for these aspects. Are then probably university where you want to apply for a position or you apply for a postdoc. So that type of environments and services that I can offer, they can really make a difference. Because if I know like I have support on that side, then as a woman, maybe I'm more encouraged, because even though we are talking about equal roles in family and dividing like the equal roles, we know that a lot of times this is still not the case. So I know maybe it depends, it's very personal, but some colleagues may be like more encouraged if they know like, oh, okay, like I have a university that is supportive of that.
Thank you, Luisa. Also very concrete tips. Anna-Maria, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
So I feel like Luisa covered already a lot. So I think it's really important to have that in mind and to talk about it. Also, I feel like we are kind of role models. I mean, we are working in academia, so if it's not in academia, where else should it be non-biased, or shouldn't it matter like 2022? So yeah, I feel like we have to be aware, we have to be focused on that. And I think it's really a problem that, like Luisa mentioned, that there are still panels out there where there are just male speakers, or that even also like papers should be awarded if one paper is full of male articles. That's somehow weird nowadays. I feel like because I studied in the US, they are even more aware of that. And I think it's important that we as a role model represent and make aware that things like this still matters.
Thank you, Anna-Maria. And now quickly, we have an audience question. How much are interdisciplinary topic proposals welcomed in grant applications? Do you have any experience with this? Because you both kind of work interdisciplinary, or at least a bit.
Yeah, I can answer. So interdisciplinary topics are really welcome in grants. You just have to be aware that you somehow have to show that you are able to work interdisciplinary. That's a big thing. So interdisciplinary sounds really interesting, and also for a jury. But the thing is, like, I feel like often people are applying for an interdisciplinary topic who can't fulfill the requirements to be interdisciplinary. So for example, in my research, so also in my funding, I have an interdisciplinary approach, but I have only a law degree. So my interdisciplinary focuses also a little bit on financial science. And because I don't have a bachelor or a master degree in financial science, I had to show the jury that I'm somehow that I still can cover an interdisciplinary topic. And so what I did, I found a professor who is like a mentor and who also is like in my proposal, who covers and shows that my work will be in line with financial science. So yeah, interdisciplinary, very welcome, but check that you are able to cover the topic from both angles.
Super. And get additional expertise in if you can't cover it. Yeah.
Or you can have you can make there are also proposals where you're not the only one on the proposal. So you are a group, for example, and you're financing, I don't know, 3 scientists from a different perspective on that topic. That's also possible.
Super. Yeah. Luisa, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it also depends like where you're applying for funding. So I can speak for the Belgian experience. You have selected panels, and the panels for your subject, if you're like doing some interdisciplinary work with a subject they're not familiar with, you have to explain really clear what you're going to do, because otherwise you have problems like in the way you're assessed. They cannot they will feel that they're not like the right commission for you to assess your project. So in some countries you really have to be, because some of them have like a general commission and like a specific reviewers that read the projects. Some of them, in addition to the specific reviewers which are experts in your particular field, they're also like from the legal area, from the natural science area, but biology, not chemistry. I'm just like making hypotheses there. So you really have to consider who is going to assess your project.
Yep. Thank you. These were extremely generous. You were both extremely generous in sharing your knowledge, and I think it was a really deep discussion we had. So Tina, can you switch yourself on again so we can say goodbye? I thank you for participating and for sharing with us. And to people watching this now or in the future, you can reach Anna-Maria Anderwald via LinkedIn, or you can write her an email. Or if you want to be connected to both of the experts, you can just write to postdoc@uni-graz.at and I will put you in touch. So we thank today's speakers, and I warmly invite all of the people watching to the next postdoc events, which can be found at postdoc.uni-graz.at. And Tina, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Also, thank you very much from my side. It was great having you here. Yeah, thank you for sharing your experiences. Yeah, and hope to see you soon again. Thank you.
Hope to see you soon, and thank you very much for having me. And yeah, if anybody wants to connect, also like feel free to add me on LinkedIn or write me an email.
Super. You have LinkedIn as well. Good to know.
Okay. Yes, I have.
Perfect. So you shouldn't be hard to find the both of you. Good. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.